Hello friend, welcome back to my channel. How are you today? I hope you're doing well. It's Tim here, and in this video, I'll be guiding you through the steps to create this mountain meadow inspired landscape painting. For this one, I really wanted to create a nice, quiet, peaceful landscape. I've been taking a lot of walks recently, and it's been really great therapy to get outside and to move again and to see all the flowers starting to bloom. I really wanted to challenge myself as well to paint this with a smaller number of colors as well. I think it makes me a little bit more creative when there are less options, so I think that'll be a fun challenge for you in this tutorial. I think this painting would be great for painters with any skill level, and we'll be covering a lot of fun painting topics. Upcoming here are the hex codes for the color palette. And then here are the color palettes shown in expanded palette form and then in compact palette view. And if you need any help putting in hex codes into Procreate to create your color palette, I do have a video up on my channel on how to do that. The toolbar shows which brush and tool that I'm using. For this tutorial, I'm using an Apple Pencil Generation 2, and I do have my display set to P3. Upcoming here are the main brushes I'm using in this video. All are from the default library except for the damp brush, but I do have a video up on my channel on how to recreate a version of this brush from scratch, so if you need it, definitely go check it out. The first step of the tutorial is to take a screenshot of our trace outline layer here, and then you're going to insert it into a blank square-sized canvas on Procreate. Then you're going to turn the opacity of the layer down, and you're going to fit the edges of the trace outline layer to the canvas here like this. Then you're going to add a new layer using the color black, and I would also recommend using the technical pen to trace over it with. It's just the easiest pen to use. And then you're going to trace over the guide layer here like this. If you have any questions, let me know below. Please feel free to take any breaks that you might need along the way. And when you're ready, let's begin. All right, so we are going to start by turning our trace outline layer down. Let's turn it down to around 10% or 12%, whichever, it's fine. Let's leave it at 12. Just shake it up today. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. And we're going to put that layer below it, just like that. Now let's go ahead and grab the paintbrush. And let's use the soft airbrush with full size and full opacity. And using the third color in the first row, let's go ahead and color drop. Oops. Actually, no. Oh, man, I'm starting off strong today. Let's go ahead and grab the color up here, and we're going to drag that and color drop, just like that. Apparently, I forgot how to color drop there for a minute. Now, let's go ahead and add a new layer, and we're going to switch to using the paintbrush now. Let's go ahead and use the soft brush. Let's do 13% brush size and full opacity, so 100%. And let's grab the fourth color in the first row, and starting right around here, which is around a third of the way down on the left side. Let's go ahead and paint a stripe of color across. It'll be just a little above where the mountain area is here. Then let's go ahead and grab the fifth color in the first row. And right below it, slightly overlapping that color right around here, we're going to paint this stripe of color across just like that. Now let's use Gaussian blur. And we're going to blur that layer to around 43%. Let's go ahead and add a new layer. And now we're going to paint the clouds. So we're going to start by painting a small sun. So let's still use the soft brush. And let's shrink it quite a bit. Let's go to like, that's too small. 2%. And then full opacity. Let's grab the sixth color in the second row. And let's paint a circle over top of our outline here for our sun. And then we're going to hold it down, and then you're going to tap the screen once, which will create a perfect circle. Just like that. Let's go ahead and use color drop, and we're going to go ahead and fill that in. Let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. And then using Gaussian blur, we're going to blur this layer to around 28%. And let's go ahead and create another duplicate of this layer, the sun layer, and we're going to repeat that same step using Gaussian blur again. Oops. And we're going to blur that to around, let's do around 17%. And I'm going to turn the trace outline off for a moment just to see kind of how it's looking. It looks good, looking like a very nice hazy sun for our hazy afternoon. So let's go ahead and turn the trace outline back on. Let's go ahead and add a new layer. And then we're going to switch over to using the paintbrush now with the damp brush. Let's do like 11% brush size, like 71% or so opacity. And let's grab the first color in the first row. And zooming up here using circular scrubbing paint strokes like this, we're going to follow that little line to paint our clouds. And if you want more color, just lift the brush up, which will help reset the stamp pattern. This brush is set to trail off a little bit, which really helps to add to the puffiness of the clouds. Then we're going to add just a little bit of color here, just like that. Let's go ahead and switch over to our blending tool now, and let's switch it over to the damp brush as well. And let's do like 10% brush size, and let's do like 32% or so opacity. And we're going to zoom up here, and let's turn our trace outline layer off. It'll be a little bit easier to see. Using circular scrubbing paint strokes again, we're just going to really lightly buff out the top layer of that cloud just to create a nice puffy cloud effect, just like that. And then we're going to start right around here in the middle and work our way across again. And then finishing it off with one last row of blending here along the bottom. Just kind of puffing that out. Just like that. We're going to scoot over here just a little bit, and we're going to repeat those same steps on this cloud now, working along the top edge here, and then across the middle, kind of overlapping the bottom and the top area just a little bit as I blend, with very light hand pressure, and then along the bottom, just like that. And actually, let's go ahead. Let's create a duplicate of this layer, and then we're going to turn the duplicate layer down. Let's turn it down to like 49%. Still using the blending tool, let's up our brush size now. Let's up it to like 25%. And we're going to lightly buff and blend over this entire area just a little bit. Still blending out in rows, and then we're going to blend across the bottom here. Just kind of lightly smoking that out. Adds another layer of detail, and then we're going to repeat that across this one here along the top and middle, and then along the bottom, just like that. Let's go ahead and turn our trace outline layer back on, and now we're going to paint the mountain. So let's go ahead and add a new layer. And I think it's actually going to be easier to do it over the trace outline layer, and we'll move it back here in just a moment, but it'll be a little bit easier for us to see. So let's go ahead and use the paintbrush now with the technical pen. And let's use the 6th color in the first row. And zooming up here, starting on this left-hand side, we're going to trace our mountain outline area here, just like this. And then just following it up. And I'm just going to follow it up into the tree area because it kind of disappears a little bit. And then using color drop, we're going to go ahead and fill that bottom area in, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and bring that layer back below the trace outline layer. That way we can see our outline. Now let's go ahead and add another new layer. And switching back over to the paintbrush now, let's use the damp brush again. And let's use the first color in the first row again. Let's just do like 11% brush size, 71% opacity again. And we're going to come up here, right here, and we're going to paint just a little bit of cloud cover over top of the tops of these mountains. Kind of creates a cool little effect. And then let's go ahead and switch over to the blending tool again. Still with the damp brush, 25% brush size, 32% or so opacity. And then just very lightly, we're going to lightly buff and blend these out using circular scrubbing paint strokes. And then repeating that along the bottom edge here. Do we need another layer? So I'm going to test this. I like that. So let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer. And we're going to move the duplicate layer down just a little bit. And then we're going to move it over. And I do have snapping on. You don't have to have snapping on. I had it on for actually another painting, and I'm going to turn that off here. That way it doesn't keep doing that. And then let's use Gaussian blur on the second layer. And blur it out to around 45%, just like that. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. Let's switch over to using let's use the soft airbrush. And let's grab the first color in the second row, this dark shade of green. Let's do like 18% brush size and full opacity. And starting right here, we're going to follow the edge of the ground, working our way up right around there, which will kind of overlap some of those bushes there on that right-hand side. Let's go ahead and use color drop and fill it in just like that. Let's go ahead and grab the soft airbrush again with the paintbrush. And let's do, oops, let's scroll down there on accident. Well, let's clear that out. Oh, that's a good thing. If you ever accidentally end up with too many colors, like let's put one there, you can always tap on it again and hit clear swatch, which will get rid of it. I'm actually glad that happened. So let's go ahead and grab the fourth color in the second row. We're going to up our brush size a little bit. Let's do like 30% brush size with full opacity. And then using circular scrubbing paint strokes, we're going to follow this edge down across our painting. Just like that. And then coming back down, and then we're going to work that way back up, onto this right-hand side. Now let's grab the third color in the second row. And right underneath, using circular scrubbing paint strokes again, we're going to go ahead and repeat that same step, just like that, filling some of that edge in, which will leave this area and this area right there. And now let's grab the second color in the second row, and we're going to just fill these little spaces in, just like that. Let's go ahead and zoom up here. We're going to go ahead and turn our trace outline layer off for a moment. So we're going to go ahead and switch to using the blending tool again with the damp brush. Let's do like 10% brush size with like 52% or so opacity. And using circular scrubbing paint strokes again, we're going to kind of lightly, almost in the middle, like that, we're going to lightly buff and blend this area out. creating the impression of some background trees and bushes. And actually, let's just go ahead and repeat this step onto the other side here. And then if you want to kind of lighten that up a little bit, just lift up your brush, which will reset the stamp pattern. Finishing that off up here. We're going to come back here and we're going to repeat this step again, working our way down and across. Oops. We're going to repeat this step again, working our way across. And I'm kind of blending some of the color from above and below, kind of just keeping it in the middle with light hand pressure. Just like that. I'm going to up our brush just a little bit. Let's go to like 13% brush size, still 52% or so opacity. And we're going to repeat that step again. Working our way across. And then along this edge here, going back and forth using like a sweeping, scrubbing paint stroke with a light hand pressure, we're just going to lightly blend this line edge out just a little bit, just like that. We're going to go ahead and blend some of this ground color up just a little bit, and I'm just using those same scrubbing paint strokes just to kind of lift it up just a little bit, just like that. Let's bring that across again, and we're going to repeat that here on this right hand side, just kind of scrubbing some of this color up a little bit. And then we're going to just lightly go back and soften that up, just like that. And I feel like this is a little flat here, so if this happens to you, all you have to do is just add a little bit of texture to kind of break that area up. Yeah, just like that. And now we're going to paint the grass. So let's go ahead and add a new layer. And we're going to go ahead and grab the damp brush with the paintbrush. Let's do like 8% brush size, like 44% or so opacity. And we're going to grab the fourth color in the second row. And using our sad face highlight, starting right around here, we're going to go ahead and go back and forth, adding just a little bit of highlight color to our ground. And we're going to start in small sections. Feel like it makes it a little bit easier here. Just working our way from left to right. Just like that. Then we're going to start here in the middle and repeat that again. Kind of gives a nice foundation for our grass. And then we're going to repeat that, finishing that off here on this right-hand side, just kind of overlapping there along the edges. And I'm going to shut that off for a second. Makes it a little bit easier to see there. And I'm still allowing a little bit of our background color still to show through. I want a little bit of variegation to be seen. Then once we finish it off here, let's go ahead and grab the fifth color in the second row, and we're going to repeat that same step again, adding just a little bit of highlight color here. And we're going to repeat that just working in small sections across. Now along the middle, allowing some of that undercolor still to show through. And then repeating that and finishing off here on this right-hand side. Just like that. And zooming back here, let's go ahead and switch over to using the blending tool now with the damp brush. Let's do like 16% brush size and like 32% or so opacity. And now I'm going to do those same paint strokes to blend them out, only I'm going to go over the entire thing. with a very light hand to just kind of soften it up and kind of marry everything together. We're not taking away all of the texture, but we're definitely softening it up quite a bit. And you can go over again if you'd like to. Makes a really nice base for some grass. Once you have your grass painted, let's go ahead and add a new layer. And we are going to switch over to using the paintbrush, still with the damp brush. And let's do like 6% brush size. Oops, not 3%. Let's go back up there. Let's do 6%. And let's do like 60% or so opacity. And let's grab the third color in the third row, this dark brown shade. And it's going to look funny for a second, but I promise there is a purpose. So we're going to go ahead and using back and forth, very kind of short paint strokes here, and they're going to be a little bit thinner and smaller, starting up at the top of the path. Just kind of going back and forth, creating the base for our pathway. And right around here, just going back over that, and we're going to start making it just a little bit wider as it comes down here. And this area will get covered with bushes here momentarily. But we're going to end right around there, just like that. Let's go ahead and duplicate this layer. And we're going to merge the two layers together. And I'm actually going to use hue and saturation. And we're going to up the brightness. Let's up it to around 66% or so. And then we're going to up the saturation. Let's go all the way full. That way it kind of creates a nice tanny taupe color. And that way we get a 2-in-1 color. We use what'll become the tree trunks here in a moment as the path color. So let's go ahead and switch over to the blending tool, still with the damp brush. And let's shrink it to like 7% brush size, 45% or so opacity. And I'm going to turn our trace outline layer off. And I'm just going to very, very light, that's going to be too much. So let's go ahead and turn the opacity way down. Let's do like 30% and see if that helps. And we're going to go very lightly over this area, still using those short scrubbing paint strokes just to kind of buff and blend that out. We just kind of want to soften that up quite a bit. Just kind of cleaning up anything that looks too harsh. Now, when we get to right around here, we're going to up our brush size a little bit. Let's go to like 10%. Still just going back and forth. Gonna just lightly buff and blend that color into the grass area here. Just like that, just nice and soft. And I wanted to take a moment to thank you so much for supporting my channel, friend. I hope you're enjoying the video so far and are having fun painting. Let me know below what your favorite part's been so far, and leave me a color palette in the comments. We're going to go ahead and add the trees and the bushes, so let's go ahead and turn our trace outline layer back on. Let's go ahead and add a new layer. And we're going to use the water pen for just a moment. If I can find it. There it is. And then we're going to shrink our brush size. Let's go to like 15% brush size with full opacity. Let's grab the third color in the third row. Starting right here, we're going to paint our first tree trunk. And then our second tree trunk area. Tree branches. And let's add another little tree branch right there. Let's create one little Y. Why did I add it? I don't know. Just sounded like a good idea. So let's go ahead and add a new layer. And then we're going to, we can still use the water pen. It'll be fine. Let's do like 53% brush size. Oh, or maybe not. Let's do around 52% brush size with full opacity. And let's grab the first color in the second row. And just using circular scrubbing paint strokes, we're going to just fill in the area for our tree. Just like that. Then we're going to come down here. And then let's start right around here. We're going to paint just a small swatch of color for this bush. For this bush here. For this bush. And then along the bottom here. Just kind of crossing over our pathway just a little bit. Then starting right here, we're going to repeat that step again, just very light-handed, filling in that bush, and then this bush here. Just like that. We're going to go ahead and use hue and saturation, and we're actually going to turn the brightness of this layer down just a little bit to create just a little bit more depth. Let's go to around 47%. Now let's go ahead and switch back over to the paintbrush again. We're still going to use the same color. And just along this edge here, because we turned that layer down a little bit, I now have a highlight using the same color, which is a fun, clever little way of adding a little bit of color depth to our painting. And I'm going to repeat that same step just along this top edge of all of these bushes. And repeating this on this right-hand side. Finishing off right there. I'm going to go ahead and turn our trace outline off for a moment. Let's switch over to the blending tool now with the damp brush. Let's do 10% brush size with around 45% or so opacity. And using our circular scrubbing paint strokes, we're going to blend again across in rows, just kind of puffing that out a little bit. And then coming up underneath of it. And we're going to repeat that step across the entire tree area here, just like that. Create some nice transparency for us. And if you get any areas that are harsh, like right there, you can always just go back and lightly buff those out. I'm going to go along this, we're going to go along this little edge here, just kind of smoking that out a little bit. Now we're going to come down here. Let's go ahead and shrink our brush size. Let's do like 7% brush size, same opacity. And let's repeat these steps on these bushes down here. And I'm kind of just puffing up the edges a little bit, kind of randomly. That way it creates some puffy edges for our bushes. Making clouds and making bushes are actually really similar. Just one's green and one's white. And one's on the ground and one's in the sky. I guess there's a lot of differences. Let me know below in the comments what the differences are, aside from me going crazy. Well, I don't know if I can go crazy because I'm already there. But anyways. I'm going to go ahead and repeat that step on this bush here. I hope you guys are enjoying this video. I'm having a lot of fun painting, and I hope you are too. Just kind of cleaning that up just right around this edge here. And then we're going to repeat this on this bush. And this bush here. Creating as much or as little puffiness in our bushes as you want. And I'm going to kind of, yeah, let's repeat that down here again. Cleaning that up along the edge. And we're going to repeat the same step on these bushes over here. And to get a little bit more blending, you can always lift the stamp pattern up. It kind of works the same way. with the blending tool. It trails off and kind of makes things a little bit more smokiness as it trails away. And then repeating this across this bottom edge. And I'm being really careful to kind of not cross areas too much in this. I still want a little bit of variegation in the bushes. And then repeating that down here, and then one last time, cross that edge there. And then just fixing anything that you find a little too harsh. We're going to add some flowers, so let's go ahead and add a new layer. And we're going to switch over to the paintbrush with the damp brush. And let's do 3% brush size, around 73% or so opacity. And using our sad face highlight technique again, instead of going like this, we're going to follow that pattern only with dots. And we're only going to kind of do it across the tops of each bush. You'll see here in just a second as I get rid of these to create some flowers. So starting right around here, just kind of following our sad face highlight, working our way across and over. Let's put a little bit on these up here. Let's put a little bit on these. Yeah, let's go ahead and come over here. We're going to add some on this bush. Let's add just a little bit down here. And I am just kind of following that same general pattern, only with dots. Now let's put some up here too. Just very, very lightly. Kind of defines the edges of the bushes as well. Is that too many flowers? Nah, there's never too many flowers. So let's go ahead and use hue and saturation. And we're going to turn those down just a little bit. And actually, let's go to around 48% brightness, and we're going to turn the saturation down just a little bit. So I'm going to come back in here. Let's shrink our brush just a little bit. Let's go to like 3%. And using the same color, we're actually going to follow the same pattern and add just a little bit of highlight with these smaller dots over top what we just painted. We'll give our bushes just a little bit more dimension, and the flowers some more dimension. And we're going to repeat that on this bush. Just being real random about it. We're going to come over here and repeat that on these bushes. And these bushes. And I'm kind of just doing random shapes too above. Every once in a while you'll see on flower bushes just that random flower that kind of sticks out above the rest of the bushes. Bush line area anyways. See that a lot with like azaleas or lilacs or even roses, daisies, depending on mums. Mums would be a good one, or any other kind of like shrub flower. It's looking good. So I'm going to go ahead. Let's switch over to using the blending tool with the damp brush. Let's do like 8% brush size, 19-20% or so opacity. And we're not really trying to blend these out. We're just kind of trying to soften them up a little bit. So using a really light hand and using our circular scrubbing paint strokes again, I'm just going to kind of lightly buff these out. Just kind of softens them up just a little bit. And let's go over here and repeat that. Just kind of finishing that up there. When you're happy with your blend, let's go ahead. We're going to create a copy canvas layer. paste it over the top. Let's go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer. And we're going to put that duplicate layer into black and white. So using hue and saturation, we're going to turn the saturation all the way down. Let's add a new layer. And we're going to put that layer into overlay. Let's switch over to using the damp brush again with the paintbrush. Let's use the 6th color in the 2nd row, this light shade of gold. I love using light gold as a highlight. It's a little bit warmer than white is. Sometimes white can like ash out your painting a little bit. And since I want this painting to be really vibrant, that's a really good tip for adding a little bit of light highlight without losing your vibrancy. Let's do about 5% brush size with around 51% or so opacity. And using our sad face highlight, we're going to add just a little bit of highlight, just very sparingly over top of our pathway and our grass, then kind of ending where the bushes are. Let's add a little bit of highlight here. And I'm not going to add highlight in this area right there, so I'm going to get rid of that. And then pull up the keyboard. Let's go ahead and add a little... Oh, it's all gone. Oh, no. Oh, the drama. That's hilarious. So let's go ahead. Let's add a little bit of more highlight up here along this path edge, and then kind of ending right around there. Let's go ahead and add a little bit of highlight starting right here. Using circular scrubbing paint strokes, we're going to add just a little bit along this tree line area here, just along the top, ending right around there. We're going to repeat that on this side, kind of working our way over and ending right before we hit the edge. And just coming back there just to kind of reinforce it. Let's add just a little bit of highlight just with a circular motion over these flowers. Let's put a little on this one. Let's put a little on this one too. Let's be spicy and put a little bit right here too. It's a spicy kind of day. What kind of day are you guys having? I hope you are having a good day. Let me know below. I hope you are having fun painting. I hope you are having a spicy day as well. So let's go ahead and let's paint. Let's use our circular scrubbing paint stroke and add a little bush right here. It's one of my favorite ways to add just a little bit of brush texture is using highlights instead of, it keeps things in the same family, but creates a little bit more dimension, if that makes sense. Let's add a little bit here. If you have any questions too, just let me know below. I'm going to up our brush size a little bit. Let's put a little bit, let's put a little bit here in the tree area, just a little bit. Now let's go ahead and switch back over to the blending tool again with the damp brush. Let's do like 13% brush size, 28% or so opacity, and just using circular scrubbing paint strokes, I'm going to just lightly buff and blend this color in, just very, very lightly. And then we're going to repeat that down and across, just kind of softening it up. Softening this up here, and then this up. We're going to use back and forth paint strokes, kind of the sad face highlight, just to kind of lightly blend and buff this out. And then we're going to just use circular scrubbing paint strokes to blend out the flowers. Just kind of softening all of that up, just creating a nice little glow. So let's go ahead and turn the black and white layer off so you can really see how big a difference that is. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. We're going to put that layer into overlay. Let's switch over to using the paintbrush now with the soft brush, if I can find it. There it is, the soft brush. I always lose that brush. I don't know why. Do you guys have that happen? Sometimes I create And that's why you guys see like multiple copies, because I've made so many copies that I'm just like, you know what? I want that same brush in all of my paint sets, all of my whatever these are called here on the left hand side, for a lack of better words. So let's go ahead and up our brush size to like 13%. And let's do full opacity. And we're going to starting right around here. We're going to paint a circle that kind of encompasses a major upper third, 2/3 of the painting. And then we're going to fill that in. Now let's use Gaussian blur. We're going to blur that out. Let's blur that out to around 47%. And we're going to turn that way down. Let's turn that down to like 26%. Let's go ahead and create another new layer. We're going to put that layer into overlay again. And let's repeat this same step again, only we're going to make a much smaller circle. So starting right where the sun is, we're going to paint a smaller circle kind of over top of where the mountain is. And then we're going to fill that in. Now let's use Gaussian blur. And we're going to blur that layer out. Let's blur it around 68%. And then we're going to turn it way down. Let's turn it down to like 36%. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. We're going to put that layer into soft light. Let's go ahead and grab the second color in the first row, the color black. And along this left side edge here, I'm going to paint a straight line down. Let's paint a line across this bottom edge here. Let's paint a line starting from this top right edge down. And we're going to curve and soften this left side edge. And let's curve and soften this right side edge. So you should have like a horseshoe kind of shape. And then let's use Gaussian blur again. And let's blur it to around 32%. We're going to turn it down. Let's turn it down to like 22%. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. And let's use the same brush size, but we're going to repeat the same step, only I'm going to use just barely the edge of the painting. So it's going to be real thin, a real thin stripe along the left side edge, the bottom, left to right, and then the right-hand side from top to bottom. And then we're going to just barely soften those edges up just like that. Let's use Gaussian blur again. And blur that to around 21%. Let's turn this layer way down. Let's turn the opacity down to like 27%. We're going to turn the black and white layer off because I kind of, let's turn the black and white layer off so we can see how it's looking. Let's add just a little bit more highlight. So let's go ahead and add another new layer. Let's put it into overlay. Let's grab the sixth color in the second row again. And let's grab the damp brush with the paintbrush. And let's do like 3% brush size with like 64% or so opacity. And using our sad face highlight again, just very, very lightly, we're going to add just a little bit of definition along this edge. Let's repeat that over here. I'm not going to go all the way over to this right side edge. We're going to add just kind of in the center. And kind of bringing that down, kind of ending right around here. Let's add just a little bit more on the pathway here. Just kind of letting it fade off. And then if I want it brighter, I can kind of go in and lift it up a little bit. Ooh, let's leave a break and add it again down here. That way it kind of creates a light leak, like it's got a little bit of shadow. Ooh, I like that effect a lot. Let's add just a little bit on the top of this bush. The top of this bush. put a little bit here, a little bit here. Let's put a little bit on this too. Kind of just following that up. Let's put a little here too. Can really carve out some nice brush detail. Bush detail. Underbrush, I think is what I'm thinking. Brush, bush, it's all kind of the same. And then let's drag it down here. And bringing it up just a little bit more. Let's add a little bit here too. I feel like this needs a little bit. This needs a little bit. It's looking good. So let's go ahead and grab our blending tool. Let's do the damp brush. Do around 10% brush size. 33% or so opacity. And we're going to just lightly buff and blend this new color out. Just along the bush edges. Let's repeat that same step on the flowers. And then using our sad face highlight, we're going to just lightly soften that new highlight up. Just ever so lightly, kind of leaving some of that dimension in there. Just like that. Let's go ahead and create a copy canvas layer and paste it over the top. We're going to create a duplicate of that, so there's going to be 2 of them. Now on this top duplicate layer, we're going to create some grass textures, and I think we may create some bush textures too. So let's go ahead and switch over to the blending tool now with the water pen. And I'm guessing it's going to be about 2% brush size. Yeah, we may switch it just a little bit, but let's start with 2% brush size and just using back and forth, just kind of flicking paint strokes that kind of go to the left or to the right, just in a random pattern. Let's go ahead and add some grass texture along this back edge. And we're going to work in rows, kind of dragging the color from the bottom up and then from the up into kind of dragging colors over top of each other. So some areas will have brighter color grass, and then some areas will have slightly darker color grass, like in this area here, so the grass is lighter. And then down here, the grass is not as light, if that makes sense. And then we're just going to repeat that across in rows. Going along this side edge here. Just find it easier to work from left to right. I don't know why that is. Do you guys find that? Does it help at all? What do you guys like to do? Let me know below. I'm going to switch over here and we're going to repeat that same step, working our way down and across. So like here, we're kind of dragging the light areas into the darker areas. And then down here, as we work across, the grass appears darker, and it's just from our highlighting and low lighting. Creates some really nice and cool textures, kind of marrying everything together. Ooh, let's add a couple of those. I love, and I know this is, you don't see it a whole lot, but like when it's really sunny outside and there's super dark areas, sometimes you get these really bright sun rays that'll create these like pops of light in the grass. And it's such a pretty little thing that doesn't happen very often. I actually have come to really like painting grass. It used to be my least favorite thing just because it's like watching paint dry or watching grass grow. But We are literally watching grass grow. Oh, sorry, I am nothing but dad jokes. Then we're going to repeat this down here, kind of working our way across. I guess the 2% did work. I thought, well, actually, let's up it a little bit. Let's go to 3%. I think that'll help. Yeah, it's a little too small. Working our way down almost to the bottom. I'm just going to go in and add just a couple of paint strokes here and there, just to kind of add some detail. Add some more of those. Ooh, we need some back here too. Anywhere that you see that might need some texture, let's add some right in there as well. Just like that. So let's go ahead and switch over to using the blending tool with the damp brush. We're going to come along this top side edge here. Let's do around 4% brush size, around 42% or so opacity. And we're going to use circular scrubbing paint strokes just here and there to kind of add some texture and kind of blend our colors in just a little bit. Kind of softens things up too if you see any areas that have any stamp pattern that you want to be a little bit softer. And then we're going to kind of repeat that going across. Just working our way down and across. You can kind of add some nice, let's up our brush opacity a little bit. Let's go to like 47%. Create some nice textures in here. You can do as little or as much as you'd like. Let's move over a little bit and we're going to repeat this same step. Kind of puffing that out, getting rid of anything that's too harsh or creating some new textures in areas that may not have it. Just kind of softening that up. And kind of with blending this out too, you can kind of create the illusion that there's more texture there just by adding a little bit more blend to it. And then we're going to repeat that on this right hand side. I was thinking that area kind of looked a little stiff. A little too thick there. So kind of just adding a couple of those circular scrubbing paint strokes just to kind of break that up a little bit. Then, ooh, let's right in here. Let's create another little bush area. You can add or change as much as you'd like. It's really fun to use this brush. It creates a lot of really beautiful textures. It's probably my favorite brush. And it's funny because like I always come back to it. I try to use different things, but these are my favorites. And I always say, don't try to fix what's not broken. Are you guys like that? Do you have a favorite brush to use? Let me know below. And it's actually funny because it is not 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm painting this. Usually I end up painting my tutorials really late. I have 2 jobs and I don't find a lot of time to paint during normal hours, but this one I'm actually painting. I think it's around 7 o'clock right now. And I'm not caffeinated, but I am very chatty. I live off caffeine. What's your guys' favorite coffee place? Let me know below. I am exploring. We actually just got a couple different coffee chains here. And I've been very excited. Our area just finally got a 7 brew, but I am not going anywhere near it because there are way too many cars. And then, speaking of way too many cars, we actually just got a Buc-ee's in our area as well, and that is no, too many cars. Too many people. But I do love Buc-ee's. If you've been to Buc-ee's, let me know below. Just kind of finishing that up here. Adding a little bit of texture. We're going to come back up here into the tree a little bit. Let's up our brush size. Let's go to like 5%. And just kind of lightly add some texture in here. And I'm just kind of using those circular scrubbing paint strokes, moving my way from left to right. Just adding just a little bit of texture here. Kind of being careful not to completely get rid of our tree branches, but let's kind of flick those up a little bit and blend those into the leaves area. Let's come down here. We're going to add just a little bit of texture down here. If you need to go in and smooth out any areas of the path, I would go ahead and do that now. Kind of just smoothing that out just a little bit. And actually, I just got an idea. Now, once you're happy with your blending, we're going to go ahead and turn this layer down a little bit. Let's turn it down to like 95%, just kind of softens it up a little bit. I'm going to create another copy canvas layer and paste it over the top. I'm going to add just a couple of last minute highlights. So let's go ahead, let's create another duplicate of this, and we're going to put this top layer in black and white again. Let's add a new layer. Going to put that layer into overlay. Now let's grab the damp brush again. Let's do like 3% brush size, and let's do around 50% or so opacity. And let's grab the 6th color in the 2nd row. And right here, we're going to add just a little bit of highlight. Let's go down just a little bit and add a little bit of highlight here. Let's add a little bit of highlight here. Let's add some here. Here. Let's do a little on this curve too. Let's bring a little bit down here. Do we bring some right here? Yeah. Let's go ahead and switch over to the blending tool with the damp brush. Let's do like 10% brush size. 40% or so opacity, and just very lightly with a back and forth scrubbing paint stroke, we're going to just lightly blend those out. Just ever so lightly. I'm going to go ahead and turn our black and white layer off. Let's go ahead and add another, 2 layers. Let's go ahead and add a new layer. And let's switch over to using the water pen again. And let's shrink our brush size. Let's go to like 8% brush size with full opacity. And let's grab the 4th color in the 2nd row. And using light flicking paint strokes, we're going to paint just a couple of longer grass strokes over top of these bushes. Well, let's put a couple over here too. And then we're going to put some more wild grass strokes over here. Let's go ahead and grab the hue and saturation tool. And we're going to turn these down. Let's turn those down to around 43%. Let's go ahead and add another new layer. And let's shrink this brush size down, still using the same color, which is the 4th color in the 2nd row. Let's do 5% brush size with full opacity. We're going to put a couple more of these lighter paint strokes with the same color. Just very lightly over this area just to kind of create some dimension. Just like that. Let's put another one right there. Yeah. Let's go ahead and add a new layer. We're going to put that layer into overlay. Let's go ahead and use the paintbrush now. Let's use the light pen. Let's grab the 6th color in the 2nd row. Full size and full opacity. And let's start right around here, and we're going to paint a paint stroke right here. Let's paint one kind of going down the diagonal from top left corner to the bottom right corner. And then starting right here, we're going to paint a final one right there, just like that. Now let's use Gaussian blur and blur that out. Let's blur it to around 28%. And now we're going to turn the opacity way down. Let's turn it down to like 27%. We're going to go ahead and create a duplicate of this layer. Now let's use Gaussian blur on the 2nd layer again. And let's blur that to around 18%. And I think the last thing I want to go ahead and do, let's go ahead and add another new layer. We're going to put that layer into soft light. Switch over to the paintbrush again. Let's use the soft brush. Let's go ahead and grab the 2nd color in the 1st row, the color black. And let's do like 11% brush size with full opacity. And we're going to paint another stripe of color, starting from the left hand upper side down to the bottom, then along the bottom edge to the right, and then from the top to the bottom on the right hand side here. Let's go ahead and soften that edge up here on this left side, on this right side. And actually, I'm going to carve into that just a little bit. So it kind of makes like kind of an asymmetric horseshoe shape again, kind of like that. Now let's use Gaussian blur. And we're going to blur that out to around 39%. And then let's turn this way down. Let's turn it down to around 22%. Let's go ahead and create a copy canvas layer. We're going to paste it over the top. Now using sharpen, let's go ahead and sharpen it up just a little bit. Let's do like 8% or so. And we're done. Now let's sign our painting. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you had fun painting, and I hope you had a great day today. I really wanted to thank you so much for supporting my channel. If you'd like to keep painting, I do have a lot of other painting tutorials up on my channel to discover, so definitely go check those out. And if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like it, I invite you to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel out. And until next time, friend, please take care of yourself and happy painting.